Prime Minister Edi Rama and European Commissioner Johannes Hahn met today to discuss the implementation of vetting and opening of EU negotiations. A media conference was held today. Prime Minister Rama says the media needs to better understand their role. EU Commissioner Johannes Hahn confirms freedom of the press is integral for the EU. Citizen OS, found with a large sum of cash and licences in the name of MP Saimir Tahiri, had a meeting with the prosecutor and Elbasan's police director. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 9th of November 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. At a press conference with the head of the Albanian government, the Enlargement Commissioner, Johannes Hahn, said that he expects to have concrete results by the beginning of next year. He reiterated that this process should have the support of all political forces. "I expect concrete results from vetting by the beginning of next year," said Hahn. In January, a more conclusive report will be available regarding the national issue of vetting. At this stage, based on the latest report from the Guardia di Finanza on the journey of vetting implementation, the Albanian head of state believes the country deserves the opening of negotiations. "I am convinced that the EU makes merit-based decisions." Enlargement Commissioner Johannes Hahn said the EU bases decisions on facts and evidence, not just on rumours, said Prime Minister Rama. Regarding the report for Albania, Hahn stated that the EU has changed the way reports are released, now publishing only one a year in the spring. On the issue of integration, the head of the Albanian government will meet in early December with the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. Earlier this week, US Ambassador Donald Lu said that the US expects the big fish of organised crime to be arrested early next year, demanding that everyone be equal under the law. On the inauguration of Media Day, organised by the European Commission in Tirana, Enlargement Commissioner Johannes Hahn praised the role of the media and said that freedom of the press is a non-negotiable condition for EU integration. Prime Minister Rama said that the media needs to understand their informative role. Participating at this conference was also the Aura News Information Director, Ilva Tare, who said that journalists must return to the values of their profession. Using moderate language in front of the Enlargement Commissioner, Johannes Hahn, Prime Minister Edi Rama said the media in Albania and beyond should be aware of their informative role. According to the Prime Minister, Albania has created the right legislation for media independence and their emancipation from public relations. Commissioner Johannes Hahn praised the important role of the media and emphasised that media freedom is not a negotiable issue in regards to EU membership. However, Hahn said that the media should build more bridges and not promote divisions. A panel was led by the well-known journalist of The Economist, Tim Judah, with the Director of Information at Aura News, Ilva Tare, stating the time has come for journalists to restore the core values of their profession. The difficult media situation in the Balkans requires more of the European Union's assistance, and this present is not being properly displayed. For this, the Serbian journalists chose an original way to protest. Media Day, or more accurately Media Days, will continue tomorrow with EU Ambassador Romana Vlahutin also expected to attend. Former Prime Minister Sali Berisha has made a statement outside the Parliament denouncing the language used by Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić regarding Albanians in the Presevo Valley. According to Berisha, during this period, Rama and his Serbian counterpart Vučić have taken the most anti-Albanian measures in history for the areas known as Presevo, Medvedja and Bujanovac. Former Prime Minister Sali Berisha today accused the Prime Minister Edi Rama of sanctioning the decision from Belgrade regarding the depopulation of the Presevo Valley. In a statement to the media, Boresha said Vučić's regime is replacing legitimate Albanian voters with refugees from other territories, not just the Balkans. With the approval of Rama, Vučić is depopulating the Presevo Valley, declared former Prime Minister Berisha. He demanded an international investigation. Boresha talked about the issue of Kumanovo and the decision given to Albanians in the trial. On this issue, Boresha demanded an interministerial investigation. The former Prime Minister said that the Rama government has zero national interests, with its only interest being the unlawful enrichment of power. The director of the Elbasan Police, Altin Chato, met with the prosecution of serious crimes regarding the case of the citizen with initials OS, who was found with 863,000 euros and 2 boat licenses in the name of Saimir Tahiri. It has been learned the meeting between the prosecution and police director took place in order to coordinate the actions of both parties in relation to the investigations that occurred by the police and have now been taken over by the prosecution. Several days ago, a search of the vehicle belonging to a citizen with the initials OS resulted in the finding of 863,000 euros in cash, as well as 2 boat licenses in the name of Saimir Tahiri and an additional license in the name of Tahiri's wife. Citizen OS claimed the cash was in his possession as he intended to send it as a payment to a company. A court decision has been reached regarding the citizen found with the contraband, who will be detained in prison until the conclusion of the investigation. Today marked the final day for Professor Guda Becirai as the head of the Academy of Science. Professor Becirai resigned just 2 months after his election following a meeting with President Meta, which resulted in agreed solutions for the institution. He said that this decision is related to the President's proposal, a request that comes at a time when the fate of the institution is being strongly debated and its existence is threatened. Speaking to an Aura News journalist, Professor Becirai declared, "I was called by the President to speak about the Academy of Science. I accepted the President's proposal to open the way for a new election and institutional reform." The professor has been involved with the Academy for 45 years, and he gave his assurance that this decision is a departure only from the position as chair, not from the institution itself. The Academy of Science will open applications for the positions of both the chair and vice chair of the institution in accordance with the law on the election of the chairman and deputy chairman. Guda Becirai's resignation came after the call by the Prime Minister demanding for reform of the institution and threatening to suspend state funding. "I resigned because I want the Academy to improve," declared Professor Becirai. Despite the Prime Minister's comments, the parliamentary committees voted unanimously for the Academy of Sciences to be issued with a budget of 108.5 million lek. Earlier, Minister Nicola said that 3 working groups from the Prime Minister's office have prepared a draft on how this institution will be reformed. The Albanian economy needs a new model as well as an immediate reform to attract more investment in the country. This was the message from Ilir Meta during the annual conference of the Bank of Albania. He added that it's important to have the development of financial markets while ensuring concerns regarding lending to small enterprises remain low. At the annual conference of the Bank of Albania, President Meta had this to say: "Albania's current economic growth is not enough. Reforms need to be undertaken, especially for improving the climate of doing business. These reforms should begin immediately." Meta proposed a new economic model while emphasising the qualifications of the labour force. The head of the Bank of Albania, Gent Seiko, stated that the problem of financing small enterprises remains the lack of funding opportunities. A number of representatives from the country's highest economical and financial institutions participated at the conference on banking, market development and financial market infrastructure today. The State Supreme Audit has launched an open month for citizens, which aims to increase transparency and introduce citizens to the work of this institution. The leader of the SSA, Buja Leskai, said that the goal is to increase the contribution of this institution in the fight against corruption. During November, citizens will have the opportunity to become more familiar with the work of the State Supreme Audit. In terms of increasing the transparency, this institution has launched an open month for citizens. Leader of the SSA, Buja Leskai, said that in addition to their focus on increasing their contribution in the fight against corruption, another key aspect is also the treatment of citizen complaints. During November, citizens can visit the environments of the SSA and become familiar with the history and achievements of the institution. The SSA has 92 years of existence, which citizens can learn about through the mini museum in the central corridor of the offices of the institution. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.